What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolfbrother Mythos from the channel Frost and Fist, and welcome to this video. Tonight's show, we're going to be painting up some more on my Custodes, picking up pretty much where we left off last time. We put a lot of the main base coats down, and we're going to finish up a couple helmets tonight. We're going to start the process of base coating the power weapons, but before that comes an important step, because I intentionally paint my Custodes a little too bright in an untraditional scheme. It's blue and gold, not just solid gold, but I paint them a little too bright, and then I dirty them down with a variety of washes, and then what I do is I tend to bring it back up because I use enamel washes where we can just wipe away the excess. I use either cotton buds or these little, I think they're little makeup sponge things. And yeah, soak up some of that excess and yeah, reveal what's left under the grime. So I like to dirty up my Custodes. It's funny because on most of my armies, well, let me rephrase that. I started getting into weathering on my orcs, and then after that on my Imperial Guard, but before that my Marine armies have always looked pristine, just because I like being able to show off, especially on the curvature of the armor pads on the Space Marine. I tend to paint them up, pretty pristinely, so I can show off like airbrush gradients and stuff like that. However, with the Custodes, I still like to show off some of that. I don't know, but I like to paint them overly bright and then grime them up. It's just kind of the way that I've enjoyed doing that. Doing them so far, and that's what we're going to continue tonight. We're going to finish painting up some helmets, slap down some washes, and then we'll work on our power weapon effects. So let's go table down and get into it. And I am going to blank out the camera as per usual, just while I move the camera around. I don't want anybody to get motion sick on me, and I'm going to move everything over. And yeah, just have the camera pointing table down. I used to have another camera that would handle the table down view as my first camera. And after a good, I don't know, 5 years of service or so, it's burnt out on me. But that's okay. Like I said, it gave its all. Served me well for many years. And it's no big deal just moving the camera around when I go to my table down view. And we're back. We'll turn this around just a little bit. No need to show you exactly how messy my desk is. Yeah. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor. Good evening, my friend. How's it going? I'm doing pretty well, man. How you doing? Lots of cool content over Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitors channel. Some great basing videos, some weekly updates of all the stuff he's got painted. Great content over there, and you'll see over on his channel that he's been working on some raptors for the Night Lords. And yeah, you can follow that progress over there. Links to Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor is down in the description under the link tree for the Friends of the Frost and Fist. And while we may not be looking at the raptors tonight, still working on those, we are going to be looking at some of his other great work. I knew I was going to do that. So, these helmets are mostly painted. Just coming in and getting like the steel faceplate. I knew I was going to get some on that golden nose guard though. So I'll touch that up here in just a second. Not bad writing stuff. My man, the Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, has been on a hot streak lately, writing some of that good lore for his Warhammer art. And as someone myself who likes to come up with lore for my armies, I highly, highly respect that, and I should actually put pen to paper someday and do it myself. My pleasure, friend, my pleasure. I hope you've had a good week. I have had a super busy week. As you all know, I didn't do a show last weekend because I worked all last weekend. And my usual job is Monday through Friday, so I am running on about 2 weeks straight. So I am eager to kick my weekend off and get some R&R in. Although, if I have to be completely honest, you know, I may have been taking it a little easy yesterday and today, just because, you know, I'm a little worn down from the last few weeks of work. It's very satisfying to have it all in front of you. I use physical copies as first drafts, and then the final gets typed. And that's cool. There's something cathartic about writing your stories out physically too. Man, I remember I used to do this for like backstories for like D&D games and other role-playing games, where at the time I was regular security officer, you know, sitting at a post for 8-12 hours at a time, and I also used to just sit there, and man, it was be on scraps of paper, you know, just whatever I could get my hands on that day, and just writing down backstories and lore and stuff like that. And I don't know, there's just always something, like you said, something that feels good about writing it down and having your backstory all in front of you, you know. Of course, then, because I was writing it down on scraps of paper from work, you know, when I take it to show to my GM, I look like one of those conspiracy theory guys with just like 1,000 little scraplets of paper. Look at this. Oh, and then over here, he left his village and then blah, blah, blah. In fact, actually I have an example of that, one that I keep here at my hobby desk. Where I was playing a knight, a holy knight from Final Fantasy Tactics. Yeah, so what we were all playing characters, young adults who basically had studied in their trade. I had studied as what do you call a knight in training, as a squire. I had trained as a squire. One of my friends had been, an acolyte of black magic, and we had just different ones of us. We were all different classes and stuff like that. Basically, just coming into adulthood. And my character was a knight from a family who was only like one generation noble. Who basically, my father had been a knight that served, it was a soldier that served the previous king and attained knighthood through, his deeds on the battlefield, and was given a fiefdom. And so he was, just a minor noble that was like one generation young. And so I would have been the first-born son of that family. And so, kind of like a muggle, in the wizardry world, to other nobles, I was a mudblood, because I was half commoner. And, I was mostly commoner, and just because my father got a title was I nobility. So, anyway, so the way it worked out in my backstory is that, I had rivalry with, the more pure nobles. And I had just imagined this. This is where I had first come up with the idea for this character at work. On a scrap of paper from work. And anyway, so I was thinking about how I would have my rivalry with, the more pure blood nobles, and having them, getting tired of being, basically picked on, in the squire's schoolyard. At one point, I draw my blade and say, "Come forth, and I shall show you precisely how knightly my blood is." So anyways, just cool little scrap of paper. I don't know why I keep it here at my desk, but that was, when I came up with that backstory, and I just really got into the idea of loving that character. And I don't know, I keep it around just because I like it. Tis all connected, yes. The mad conspiracy theorist, it's all connected. My brother was the one who was GMing that particular campaign. And while he loved the scene and loved that I was so enthusiastic, while at work coming up with this character, he did tease me a little bit, because he said, because of the way I phrase, "I'll show you how knightly my blood is." And he's like, that could be taken both ways. Like, I'm going to show you how knightly my blood is because I'm about to kick your ass. Or it could be, I'm going to show you how knightly my blood is because I'm going to bleed all over you. And while I'm bleeding, you can see my blood. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I can see how that could go both ways. I just think of that meme from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Anyways, it just started blasting. That's always the meme I think of from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. if I had been a knight, I would have said, "You may test that assumption at your earliest convenience." Yes. Good evening, Hellchild, my brother. Hope you're doing well. Ah. All right, now comes the fun part. Still this side of the dirt. That's always a positive, my friend. At least it is for me. I like having you around. All right. Now we're going to attempt to do the eye lenses and try not to mess it up. And we're just putting down my brightest silver in the eye lenses, so that way, when I put down my fluorescent paint here in just a second, it'll gleam just a little brighter. It's funny because some people say to do a dot of white before you put any contrast or fluorescent in the eyes, but I just feel like that doesn't come out as bright as using my brightest silver. In my case, I use Vallejo Air silver. It's a super bright silver. It is like a smoother version of Stormhost silver, but where Stormhost silver is a little grittier, you can see the little like flecks of metal in it. This stuff is super smooth. It's not as liquidy as, say, like the Vallejo Metal Airs, but it's pretty smooth. Now I'm going to use, when I'm doing fluorescence, my current favorite is golden fluorescent. The artist formerly known as Brother Oni put me onto these golden fluorescent paints, and I have loved them since I started using them. I've got 5 colors of those now. It is a bit more expensive. It's a little over $10 for a bottle. I think it's might even be something like 12 or 13 or something like that. But as you saw, it's a large bottle. And their fluorescent colors are very, very punchy and bright. Which is exactly what I want from a fluorescent paint. So, what have I got for a pork chop? I've done a little bit more work on these guys since you last saw them. Kind of been chipping away at them over the last couple of weeks. I did play them in a game with Atlas. And I know some people would say it's a sin to play not fully painted, but I don't know. I feel like it's kind of exciting if you take something you're still working on painting and you go in and you get a game with it and you see how fun it is to play that army. For me, it kind of gives me that extra motivation, you know, to finish getting it painted, get her done, you know. I just realized I shouldn't have done this step yet, because I'm going to have to be careful with the oil washes, or the enamel washes now. Try not to get them these eye lenses now that I've gotten them super bright in the way that I want them. I've gotten a little bit ahead of myself, which has never happened before, guys. I'm always so professional. Let's see, eye lenses are easier than eyes, absolutely. When I do lenses, I do a metallic for my base coat and then a contrast over it. Okay, sweet. It's much like what I do. It's a red lens. I start with a gold base. Nice. Everything else gets a silver base. You know, I've heard of some people doing gold for contrast red. In fact, one of my friends, a good friend named Archer, I think he did some Thousand Suns that way, with doing gold as his undercoat and then using like a red contrast over top. Also, I think if you check out the channel Waylander's Wandering, Waylander's channel is also linked in the Friends of the Frost and Fist below. I think he also paints his, may also be Thousand Suns. I'm not going to lie to you because I can't remember what it is he paints that way, but it's something. I hear the new Fanatic Silver is super nice. I want to check out the Fanatic line. I got to start using fluorescence for my lenses. I got a couple from Pro-Acryl. Very nice. I love Pro-Acryl. Pro-Acryl is currently my favorite brand of paint overall. Even though I said golden is my favorite fluorescent overall, I think Pro-Acryl is my favorite right now. A bougie pork chop sandwich. So I know Friendly Neighborhood Quizzer's working on his lore, working on some Night Lords. What you been working on, Hellworks, my brother? Or, as we say, what have you got for a pork chop? I don't know why I said that way. I hope my friends across the pond will forgive me. Haven't had a bougie pork chop in a while. I did, you know, I always like to, I'd sometimes do these little reviews when I go out of town and eat different places and stuff like that, which I typically enjoy very much. But when I was in Buffalo, I stopped by the little grocery store, and I always, you know, even though the company gets my meals, I always, you know, like to stop by the local grocery store and do things and get, like, you know, some Coke Zeros for my room, maybe a case of Monsters if I'm going to be doing a lot, you know, a lot of work, that kind of stuff. And the locals recommended this place called Alton's, They're like, oh, it's a family place, you know, it's a local favorite, yada yada, home cooked meals. And I got there, and man, for the locals to be hyping up, this was one of the first few times that I got recommendations from the locals, and was actually pretty disappointed. Not that I want to talk trash about this place, but like the pork chops were overdone, the baked potato was overdone, they were both super dry. I was just like, what's going on here? I was so ready to be like, you know, what do I got for a pork chop? Let me go back and tell the fam. What I got for a pork chop is this killer pork chop, you know, from a place the locals recommended me. But that's not what I got, guys. Can't remember the last time I've had pork at all now that people are mentioning it. Oh man, I've got a pressure cooker and I love to do a pulled pork roast with the fam. Usually we'll make some pulled pork tacos out of them. Good stuff. Oh, so here are the heads I just painted. And something to point out for you beautiful people here. Last time I was painting these for you guys, I had decided to go with a primary red, like the Blood Angels red here. That I did for the plume as, you know, part of the robes here. But I don't know, I just wasn't vibing with it. And so last night I did a little painting. And I decided to change it up. And I'm going for more like a, you know, magenta kind of robe. It's the highlights are pink. The rest's not quite pink. I don't know. I'll call it magenta for now. But yeah, I decided to do like an off red. Which is unfortunate because I was just kind of painting by feel at the time, trying to mess around because I wasn't happy with the color they were before. And then I remember you guys telling you I was running a 4-man squad of Wardens and I didn't know where my 5th Warden was. Boom! There he is. And so now I've got to go back and try and replicate what I did with those robes on this guy. But I wasn't really, you know, I wasn't writing anything down. I was just kind of painting by feel until it felt right, which I ended up on this color. Tell me what you guys think about, by the way, how that color settles with the blue and gold. I felt like when I did it primary red, like the plume, the bright blue and the bright red were both competing for my attention. And so that's why I decided to desaturate it and kind of go with these off red robes. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let's see. You've got that CMY kind of scheme going on with them now. What? I'm lost. What is CMY? You're going to say it, and I'm going to be like, oh. But yeah, so there's the 5th member of the Beatles there. So I've got to get him done too at some point. Cyan, magenta, yellow. Thank you. You know, now that you mention it, maybe that is why I like it a bit more than the competing primary colors together. So I went ahead and painted up this helmet in addition to the other 2 I was working on. Not because I need it right now, but because I found my 5th Warden. And so, you know, whenever I get to him, his helmet will be done. But he's still got a lot of work to get to this level. So he'll come later. It's not exact because the blue isn't really cyan, but it's pretty close. Yeah, like once you mentioned it, I could see, oh yeah, I can, like you said, not exact, but I can feel the vibe. That super bright blue is pulling attention away from the rest of the stuff on my table. Let us see if I can remember how to zoom. Camera control. It looks the same, doesn't it? What if we put it up to 300%? Nope, it looks the same. Oh well, I don't know. Although I better put that setting back, or at some point it'll mess up and I'll be like, what did I do? Okay. T-Suds use a pure CMY scheme, cyan armor, magenta robes, gold yellow trim. Yeah, not seeing camera difference on my end, just looks like it blinks now and then. Yeah. That is something I still, even though I've tried looking up before, I have not gotten a hold of. I know a lot of streamers who also use like Streamlabs or OBS. They got the ability to change their zoom at will, and I can never figure it out. Okay, I'm going to move the 5th Warden's helmet over to be with him, because I know I will lose it. And we'll go back to working on these guys. Alright, well now that they've all I missed the lenses on 2 of them, which we've already determined is out of order, but because I still have all of this fluorescent paint here, we're going to do it anyways. After all, we don't want all this paint to go to waste. Anybody else operate that way? Like, even if it's not the most ideal order of steps, you're like, well, I can't waste the paint now. In fact, often if somebody will come up to me and ask me for something while I'm in the middle of painting, I will be like, give me one, if you know, if it's nothing like super time sensitive, I'll be like, give me 1 second to finish this color because I don't want to waste the paint. It'll dry up if I leave right now. Obviously, I don't get crazy with it, you know, if it's something time sensitive or something that needs my immediate attention. Obviously, that's fine, but I really like that fluorescent pink for the eyes there, because it really, I don't know, it stands out from underneath the gold and silver of the helmets. All right, before I move on to slapping down a bunch of washes, I'll show you something else I've been working on. I didn't want to take these boys because doing things like enamel and oil washes in places like hotel room. I have done it before, and I have made a mess before in the hotel room, and I feel less bad if I make a mess at my desk as opposed to making a mess in the hotel room. So I decided not to take these guys with me, and instead I took out these Men and Women of Tanith from the Gaunt's Ghost books. Started working on them. These guys still don't have their heads yet, but you know, the one that I did finish as my test model, I'm using these as my Catachan, but going with the models for the Men and Women. They're 3D printed files I found for the Men and Women of Tanith, just because I'm such a big fan of the Gaunt's Ghost books, and I decided to use them as Catachan instead of actual Catachan. And I don't really feel like I'm missing out on much, because the Catachans are like a 52-year-old sculpt. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but these here beefier guys are some of the jungle fighters from Atlantic War Games in partnership with, oh my gosh, I'm gonna look up the name and then I'm gonna feel silly. Jungle Fighters Atlantic War Games. Space Nam. The Space Nam is the name of the line for the Catachan that War Games Atlantic sells, and is with the name of a sculptor who has their own website, Reptilian Overlords. So I'll just show you guys that there. Articles and art, and share screen. Here we go. Yeah, so the Reptilian Overlords, that's the sculptor name. You can actually go to Reptilian Overlords website, and they have a full range of these guys and other alternative space sci-fi infantry sculpts that they do. Just a whole range of them. But look how crisp these like. Oh, I mean, that's great artwork, but like, look how crisp this detail is, man. Look how like muscular and just cool these poses are. So they make great Catachan. Now, obviously, I'm going with a different sculpt, but the Tanith line that I'm using, they don't have flamers, so I grabbed the flamers from this line. And while I'm here, we'll go Space Nam Flamers. Space Nam. Flamer files. There we go. Well, these are the heavy flamers. These aren't exactly the sculpts I have, but still, you can kind of see the idea. Oh, that's the guy. That's the guys that I'm using as my flamer guys. They got that big, beefy look, which Broston from the Gaunt's Ghosts, you know, he was a big, beefy guy like this. He liked to lick things with his flames, which he called Mr. Yellow. So yeah, I think it'd be cool to use him as my flamers. Like I said, the Tanith line themselves, for these particular, I think they're called Celtic Warriors or something like that. Celtic Soldiers, something like that. Anyways, so yeah, that looks on par with near modern GW quality. Oh yeah, Reptilian Overlords does some fantastic sculpts. And of course, if you prefer plastic over resin or STLs, You can go get them directly from Board Games Atlantic with their partnership with Reptilian Overlords. And I have most of my infantry for my Astra Militarum is Atlantic Board Games. Here, these are from their Eisenkern set. And I just frickin' fell in love with that sculpt. I ended up doing my entire, like the base of my entire infantry is based off of these guys. And even when like I have to use GW model, like on the back of my Rogel Dorn or the back of my Hydra, you know, they've got like a soldier holding on to the controls. I'll swap out parts from the Eisenkern set so that way it matches the rest of my army. And almost every event I take my Astra Militarum to, I always get compliments on, man, what do you use for your infantry? Those look so cool. So, War Games Atlantic, definitely if you want like GW quality plastic miniatures for your sci-fi soldiers, and it costs, if I remember correctly, almost half the price. Definitely look into War Games Atlantic. Really good price, great bargain, really good quality. Not sponsored or anything, just love the product. Okay. So I'm doing a couple of things. There's a couple of things I want to do, but the first thing I want to do with these men and women of Tanith here is called the Scout Mirror Tactic. You take 10 Catachan. You can put up to 2 characters with them. So I will probably put my converted Sergeant Harker with them. Boop. And maybe another character. Oh yeah. The other character I'm thinking is Inquisitor Custodes. So that'll be 12 people that can go into Chimera. And both Strachan and Inquisitor Custodes are both absolute beasts in hand-to-hand combat. And of course, being with the Catachan squad, they'll get a buff attacking. Plus, the Catachan squad will also, if I decide not to take Custodes, gives the Chimera the ability to scout up the board. So it depends on if I want to go for more damage or scout. But even if I don't do a scout move with them and just use the Chimera to keep them safe, the Catachan Jungle Fighter special rule is that each time a model of this unit makes a melee attack, if it made a charge move, improve the strength and AP by 1. So now we're going to give both of these characters +1 strength, +1 AP. And then, of course, I can give them all fixed bayonets, so I can hit on +1 in combat, which won't really matter for Strachan because he's already hitting on 2s. That means Custodes will be striking with his Thunderhammer on 2s. And so it'll just be absolutely epic. And then we'll go down to Strachan's profile. And Iron Hand Strachan. So with his melee, he's already hitting at 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, so the +1 strength will put him at strength 7, +1 AP. He has already got a -2 AP, so it'll be AP 3, flat 2 damage. But then, of course, we look at Strachan's ability. When he's leading a unit, all models in that unit will have lethal hits. So now, thanks to the Jungle Fighter's ability, all of them will have +1 strength and AP. And thanks to Strachan's ability, they'll all have lethal hits. So it's just going to be so many attacks, and the lethal hits will help them get through. And they're all going to have AP1. At least, where in some cases, like he and Custodes will have AP3. Then being there, seen it, killed it. So each time Strachan makes a melee attack, if it charged, I can re-roll the hit roll and the wound roll. So he'll get full re-rolls to hit, full re-rolls to wound, on top of having the extra strength, the extra AP, and lethal hits. So it's going to be, I mean, like this combo is a real beast in combat. And then if I go down to Imperial Agents for Custodes, Inquisitor Custodes. So his ability, of course, he can join any battle line Imperial unit, and of course he can get in their transports. Plus, when he's leading unit, all models in this will get a 5-up Feel No Pain ability against psychic attacks and attacks made by demons. And of course, I'll also gain ACP if I roll a 2+ when my opponent gains a CP. So he's going to add in command point farming. He's going to give them all protection against psychic and demons. And then we go to his own melee profile. He has the Nemesis Demon Hammer, which will be 3 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 10, AP 4, flat 3 damage. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And then, of course, just for a little extra seasoning, he's got a bolt pistol, and of course he's got a Psychic Blast, which I imagine comes from his little twin-headed eagle here, which is a D6 attacks, hitting on 3s. Only strength 3, but anti-infantry 4+ and devastating wounds. So on a 4+, he's doing unblockable devastating wounds with 2 damage a pop. It's pretty awesome. So this is going to be a hell of a midfield squad in a Chimera in the middle of the board. And of course, you can shoot 2 weapons out of that. So I imagine if I'm close enough, he'll be shooting his eagle out of the top and doing those devastating wounds before they even get out. Probably like the eagle and 1 flamer. Or if I'm being overwatched, both flamers. So pretty cool. Brother Roxas, yo! What's up, brother? I'm really excited to see what GW has in store for Imperial Agents. Despite my name, I don't actually have an Inquisitor model. I went for a long time without an Inquisitor, but I recently got my Custodes, and to go with my Custodes, so Custodes is to go with my Guard, of course, as you see them there with my Catachan. And I recently picked up Kyria Draxus to go with my Custodian Guard, because they have an ability to shoot twice, and Kyria Draxus has some amazing shooting. That includes anti-personnel, or anti-infantry 4+ and devastating wounds. And so, yeah, she will also get, just like we were talking about the combo with him, she will also get unblockable devastating wounds on 4+. And then with the Custodian Guard, if they're on an objective, they get full rerolls. So anything that turns out not to be that 4+ for the devastating wounds, I can roll them again, even if they would have wounded, and keep fishing for more devastating wounds, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, the Custodian's ability, the Guardian's ability to shoot twice, once per game. When you have a boatload of devastating wounds coming through, shooting twice in a single turn could definitely be pretty awesome. So I've got 2 Inquisitor models currently, and I'm pretty excited to get them painted up and put on the battlefield. How are you, Brother Roxas? I'm excited for Session 0 coming up, man. When I say Session 0, Brother Roxas here. My very first gaming experience was with White Wolf games, including games like Vampire the Masquerade, which Brother Pete, by the way, from Mini Warzone, is also getting back into Vampire the Masquerade. Check him out. He's in the links of the Friends of the Frosted Fist below. But he's also getting back into Vampire the Masquerade. And Brother Roxas here will be the game master for an upcoming Vampire the Masquerade game as well, which we're getting in, and I'm super hyped. Yeah, it should be fun. Just got to get everyone organized first. I know our group can be like a bunch of cats that need to be herded, so I wish you all the best luck. I know I'm part of the problem because I'm not very timely with my responses and whatnot. I'm pretty sure my lovely Lady Lily got back with you earlier about our availability. I apologize. Been working a lot of hours lately. All right, I'm going to slap down some washes. I think I've had a bit of a chin wag for a while now. How dare you provide for your family? I'm sorry. First we have up one of my favorite dirtying products, aka Interactive Streaking Grime. Now I know a lot of people who use this product brilliantly and never have a problem with staining or peeling off old paint. Not old paint, but like, you know, the pretty layers underneath. However, I always seem to have a problem with it. So as a precaution, you know, me just kind of, you know, learning my way around how to use it. Like I said, I know not everybody needs to varnish. I always varnish mine a bit. And I have done this with both matte varnishes and gloss varnishes. Theory being that if I do the gloss varnish, you know, the gloss coat's smooth. It'll make it easier for me to wick away the excess, that kind of thing. But that kind of did the job a little too well. And then I ended up pulling away too much of the dirt and had to go back and reapply again. So now I've gone back to the old style I used to do with the just basically using a matte varnish and going from there. And I'm trying to avoid, you know, like not necessarily completely avoid the leather and the capes and whatnot, but like, you know, in part, I don't want to get it as much on the leather and the capes because I'm going to do a different style of shading on the cape. And the leather, I just really like the color of this leather. And I've already kind of done it to the face. I've already done the shading I want to the face. I am just going to try and get the bottom half of that gold mask she's wearing. Yes, I did say she. I have indeed made my first female custode. So, you know, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I wanted to do one. Alright, adding in some grime all over the model. Alright, and we'll set that one down and we'll start dirtying up the next one. And although this goes down as a nice, rich brown color, I don't leave it on for a heavy amount of time, and I don't want it all to just be brown. I want to kind of like tint with the brown, but not make it all brown. So after I clean it up, if I want it darker, but not necessarily more brown, that's when I go in with the black wash. And I'll go through the same process, basically, of slathering the mini and then pulling up the excess. Now, interestingly, I want to do this whole effect first, and then I'm going to come back for the robes later, because I don't want to slather the streaking grime with the robes. I want to add the robes, the streaking grime to the robes in strategic locations. So, you know, I'll probably go around like the hem of the robes and stuff like that, but I won't necessarily just slather the whole thing. Make it look more like the robes got dragged through the mud at some point, as opposed to just like, you know, the custodian was rolling in the mud. And this I talked about earlier. I need to do some of the faceplate without necessarily getting it in the eye lenses that I mistakenly painted earlier. But just kind of rolled with, because that's what I do. I'm like, oh, I messed that up? Oh well. Speaking of things I messed up, and I'll talk about the game itself here in a minute. Would you guys like to see a massacre? Telemachus, good to see you, my friend. GW probably should have released an official Femstody model with this codex, or at least a head option with the Shield Captain with the new lore revelation. Yeah, I kind of am surprised that they gave a named character and then didn't bring her out in this codex, or at least a Black Library model. Would you guys like to see some sacrilege? I had a very nicely painted Custodes Dreadnought. I'll show it to you. First, let me find if I can find it. Frost and Fish Galatus. TikTok. Okay, now share my screen. I love the sacrilege. Just know the Ordos are watching. Let's see, articles. Here we go. All right. You can find me on TikTok, by the way, if you like. I haven't uploaded anything for a while, but the same kind of goes for my YouTube channel. But I think work should be like, you know, stabilizing again, and I should be able to do more of the YouTube thing. But okay, that's way too loud. Mute. There we go. All right, see this beautiful Contemptor Galatus Dreadnought that I painted? Unfortunately, what had happened was I was transporting him to the game with Brother Atlas. And he's armless. Well, specifically, one arm broke in two places. Did I already throw the pieces away? Probably. So specifically, his sword snapped at the hilt, or at the crossguard rather, and then as I was trying to see if I could fix that, the sword snapped again at the between the elbow and the shoulder. And so, my beautiful Galatus, he was so pretty. And of course, trying to fix it, sand some stuff down and make it smooth for operation, using some glue debonder and such, just completely like messed up the paint job. You can see some of the glue debonder ate right through the varnish and into the paint job, and it was like that here as well. That's why it's back to being black primer on the chest. Yeah, it's just, you can see even there, I need to go back and put some more black primer right there, some more primer up here. But yeah, the glue debonder just absolutely ate through the varnish and the paint. It's crazy. And then of course you can see that beautiful white Forge World resin here. So Forge World is very expensive to have snap in your game case on the way to a game. I didn't even notice. I went to put him on the table during our game, and I'm like, where the heck did the sword go? It's so upsetting. I need to get some more arms, or print some more arms, or something. I did order. Spiky Bits has these beautiful stand-ins for Grey Knights, and so I've ordered like the halberd for their Grey Knight dreadnoughts and the sword for their Grey Knight dreadnoughts, and I think that'll work as good swaps for the Dreadnought. When I do my surgery, I bought both the sword and the halberd option, so that way I can make him either the Gladys or the Achilles. Oh, but you can see right there, like right here, where the arm snapped, broke off just a little piece of this breastplate. I'm going to try and salvage, or at least highlight it with some silver. Maybe it can be some battle damage. But yeah, it's seeing something you spent so much time and love on being in such a broken state is heartbreaking, man. But the goal is that once I get my arms in to repair, do some surgery and repairs, I'm going to just magnetize these arm sockets, so that way, if, the next time I transport them, if something gets bumped or nudged, the magnets will just move instead of letting the arm snap, in theory. Poor defenseless Dreadnought, they're having a rough time. Yeah, that's an expensive snap. I know! So anyways, yeah. We're going to use some Etsy bits, some 3D bits, and we're going to perform some expensive surgery. But yeah, that was one of the first models I painted up. For some reason, I started with the Dreadnoughts. Honestly, even though I know like the smartest thing is to start with your battle line units and a leader, make you a small force like a kill team or whatever, and then expand your army that way. Yeah, with the Custodes, I started with my Dreadnoughts because rule of cool, and they looked amazing. I was like, these Dreadnoughts are amazing. I was like, I have 800 points, but still not a legal army because I hadn't painted an HQ. And at the time, you could take Custodes in 3-man squads, and so I only had 3 painted up. That's why I had to come back and paint up these other 2 from the set here. After the fact, because I just painted up the 3 I needed for a legal squad, and they're like, Custodes come in 4-man squads now, and I'm like, oh, well, my squad's no longer legal. So yeah, that might actually be my most expensive broken model in the hobby yet. Have you guys had any hobby mishaps? And if so, what is the most expensive model you've broken? Curious to hear. In a similar but different hobby, my brother Kane recently had lightning strike his house, and it burned up his flat screen TV and his PS5. Ugh. That was also some very expensive hobby damage. Minus a squad of Wraith Blades and a Wraith Lord. Happened at the same time. They were in a box. My cat stepped on the lip and sent them flying. Oh no! My brother Atlas, you may hear me talk about him pretty frequently, but also you may have seen him on a few of our battle reports. In a very similar way, lost his almost, like, except for a handful of models, lost almost his entire Space Wolves army that way. Not necessarily with the cat, but, in the same thing. They were all, in a box. His Dreadnoughts, his Terminators, the whole army, in a box on a set of steel shelves
like, you know, the kind you would put up in a garage, on a set of heavy steel shelves. And something happened. I don't remember what. But basically, all of the shelves caved in on top of one another, and his entire army absolutely crushed. So he's just now getting into Space Wolves again. Our game last time we played was my new Custodes army versus his new / renewed Wolves army. But he gave up the army for years just because he puts, like, every model in that army was converted in some way. You know, he really put his heart and soul into that army. And that, on top of the fact that, like, when the 9th edition it was either 9th, I think when the 9th edition codex came out, functionally the army was so different than the way he had built his. He just didn't have the heart to start it up anymore. He took a few years break. His army was built. Atlas likes to do make a very unusual or unorthodox list that most people would never even think of, and then he'll find a way to make it work. And so his theme at the time was he did an army based off of lone wolves, which at the time was a single character model that you could take without a squad. And you could take them in Terminator armor, which is mostly what he had. I think he had a couple that were like non. But he had Wolfen, he had Terminators, he had a Terminator Chaplain, which is now my Terminator Chaplain. I actually still take that one to events and tournaments and stuff. Because that's one of the models that survived. And he basically, because at the time Freak was starting a wolf army as well. And he basically was like, I'm getting out of wolves. Here's the few remaining survivors. Y'all can pick what you want. And I'm just basically getting rid of the rest of them. And when he said get rid of them, I think he was like going to bin them too. I was like, whoa. Let's not do anything crazy here. Let's keep it in the family. And so Freak ended up with his Wolfen Dreadnoughts. I ended up with like 2 of his Wolfen. Well, for a while, and then I think I divided it with Freak. So we each got one of his Wolfen, which were converted from models of between Terminators and D&D Gnolls, which is pretty cool. So they actually look like werewolves ripping out of their armor. And he's always had such a great head for conversions. That's a lot of damage. But yeah, almost his entire army saved from the 2 Wolfen Dreadnoughts, which he gave to Freak. 2 Wolfen, not squads of Wolfen, 2 individual Wolfen. And I think the character, which I ended up getting, which was the Chaplain and Terminator armor. Everything else, crushed. And like, not in the like, oh, I can put this back together with a little super glue and hard work. Like, his models literally had like exploded. It was heart-wrenching for him. I'm sure, as it would be for any of us. Like, it wasn't just like that the models were gone, but like all the time he put into converting every single piece. Slaanesh approves. More room for tentacles now. You know, since I'm magnetizing the arms, I could do a set of tentacle arms. I mean, I would if the Inquisition weren't listening. Stopped quickly while driving. Someone ran a light. My box of Eldar was magnetized, flew to the floor. Everything was broken. Oh no! Yeah, that sounds like a soul dying. I agree. Well, I am sorry that all of you have had to go through hobby trauma like that, but at least here we've got each other for moral support now. I had a couple of paper towels here because I knew there we go. I knew I was going to be working with streak and grime. So mine seems to be pretty inconsequential now. 2 full armies in the bin. Yeah, that's ugh. That is soul destroying. But a loss is a loss. We can still grieve for each other's losses. As always, streaking grime is obviously something we want to clean right away. Anything enamel based, you definitely don't want to leave on your brush. But yeah, losing a full squad in their HQ, nothing to sneeze at, my friend. Nothing to sneeze at. All right, of course, the next step is to let the streak and grime dry, but not let it dry too much. I saw an overly bright shoulder pauldron that needed a second pass with the streaking grime. Let's look for any other overly bright bits. So yeah, sometimes you got to keep an eye, because if you don't shake the bejesus out of the streaking grime, some patches will come out thinner than others, which is good because it kind of gives you a bit of an inconsistent look, which, you know, weathering would normally be inconsistent. But also at the same time, some of the upper areas, like the toposphere helmets and shoulder pauldrons, the thinner areas will run a little further down the model, and you'll be like, why does it look like there's no streaking grime there? So like I said, I have been working almost 2 full weeks, and so I haven't had a lot of spare time. I've not done a lot of hobbies. See, I've done a little bit with the Tanith, done a little bit here and there on the Custodes. But what little time I have had, played quite a bit of Overwatch 2, and you know, just some mind-numbing, sit there and with the controller in your hands and, you know, a little first-person shooter action. I finished my placement games for competitive. I am as bad as I think I am. I'm like, I still was Bronze 4 after a couple days of playing. I've been promoted to Bronze 2, but still not great. But yeah, so it's nice to actually finally know where I am. And now that I'm out of my placement games and actually playing with people in my level, though, I've actually been doing pretty well, farming like, I don't know, 30-something kills each game. So it's been pretty cool. All of my gaming time has been Fallout 4 as of late. I'm far too casual for PvP games. You know, I feel like in most things I'm super casual, but for some reason I've always enjoyed shooters. And Overwatch 2 kind of scratches that RPG itch for me, as well as being a shooter, because in Overwatch you have all these different characters that each have special abilities, and they all can do something cool. And of course, you get your favorites. But then part of what I enjoy is I put myself on mystery heroes, which is just it randomizes your hero every time you spawn. And sometimes I feel like that random isn't super random, because like they have almost 40 characters, and I find myself in some cases playing like the same 5 characters over and over again. I'm like, what the hell? What are the statistical chances of this happening? But yeah, it's been good. And like I said, now that I'm actually in the rank I'm supposed to be in, yeah, I've been doing pretty well, and I've been getting like an average of 20 to 30 kills per match, on top of playing the objective. And like yesterday I lost all but 2 matches, and then today I won all but 2 matches, so it's pretty cool. Hey, Oversoul Gaming, my brother, good to see you, my friend. If you like Overwatch, you should look into an upcoming game called Concord. Interesting. Concord. Oh, right. Concord video game. First-person hero shooter, published by Sony. Scheduled release for PlayStation 5 and Windows in August. Nice. A hero shooter, kind of like Overwatch. Very nice. How are you, my friend? I was just telling them I'm getting off of a stint of working nearly 2 weeks in a row. It's my first real opportunity to chill, although if I'm being super honest, I have been kind of lax the last day or two, just because I was starting to get that, that little bit of burnout feeling, Don't get me wrong, the things that needed to get done are still getting done, but the things that can wait till Monday may just wait till Monday. You know what I mean, Vern? Alright, now it is time for the most technical hobby tool at my disposal, the Q-tips. Bloop. It's like Overwatch with Guardians of the Galaxy vibes. Nice. You just made me remember Inquisitor, that I've gotten mostly to the end of Fallout 4, but I never finished it, and now it's been so long, I probably need to go back and replay the whole thing. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I played Fallout 4, I liked it. Wait a minute, I never finished it. Oh my god, I never finished it. What we're doing now is kind of like the reverse of painting, right? I've painted the streaking grime, all the dirty material all over my model for the weathering. Now we're just wiping off the excess that's not in the recesses, so that way you can still go back and see some of that color shining through. And of course, you know, to make sure it all ties together, we'll probably go back in and paint in some highlights so that way you can see those colors shine through again anyways. All right, here we have her waistcoat coming out of her armor. So, you know, wipe that down a little more. Unlike the armor, we probably won't be polishing that back up, because I think cloth would be a little more likely to stain than armor. So she's got her chest plate up here. Then we've got the cloth of the waistcoat down here. Do a little polishing on the belt though. And in some areas where we really want the blue to come through, we'll do a little twisty twist. Yeah, I always feel like this comes out so much better when I do the matte varnish. Maybe because I get a little too aggressive with my Q-tip wiping. I'm sure that's my problem. But yeah, this comes out to me as the perfect amount of weathering that I want. Just when I matte varnish and then go in with the streaking crown. And as Inquisitor, friendly neighborhood Inquisitor said the other night while we were in Discord, you know, I had mentioned that it was still too bright because I needed to do my enamel washes. And he was mentioning, isn't it crazy the difference that washes can make? And answer is absolutely. A minute ago, she was far too bright and vibrant with those blues and golds. And now they've been greatly toned down by the brown washes, the streaking grime. And now she more closely matches these chaps over here. I think she looks really cool with that like that ninja style half mask. In the same kind of gold that the rest of the gold armor is. I got the idea for using this head is basically I stole it straight off of Heresy for Heretics. He put this Guardian head on his Blade Champion to make a female custodian. I was just like, I love the way that ninja mask looks on this model, so I decided. And man, I used this Blade Champion in the battle against Atlas, and the Blade Champion put in some work. It is an Eldar head from the Guardians kit, from the newly sculpted Guardians kit. So of course I have trimmed and rounded the ears, so that way, you know, they're a little more human. They don't have the pointy elf ears anymore. But yes, it is from an Eldar kit. I'm good. Work has been busy. Finally finished Hellblade 2 and about to put the final episodes out this week. Nice. It was really good. Expands on the world quite a bit, much like Plague Tale 2 did. Very cool. Does look very Guardians of the Galaxy. Maybe because there's a green person. They said there'll be a storyline running in real time, and they will have new cutscenes every week. Very cool. Oh wow, showing you the up close. The rest of my painting desk is gone. Incredibly blurry. Oh well. Alright, use Q-tip number 1. Now we'll crack on doing the rest. With this highly technical painting style of the Q-tip. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on Hellblade 2. I remember you liked the first one. It was my 2017 game of the year. Yes! The first one was extremely good, and I'm definitely excited to watch the second one. I have so much I need to catch up on. Yeah, just this past, this whole last month, man, for like 3 out of the 4 weeks this past month, I was out in the field, so, yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch much YouTube at all over the past 4 weeks, but thankfully, I'll still have some projects coming up, in the field, of course. Shouldn't be as hectic as these last 4 weeks have been. Uh-oh. What is it? I said, uh-oh, not puppo. Sweet girl. Glad you've been able to get some rest. Yes. Like I said, I have kind of, slacked off a little bit the last day or two, but this weekend will be my first full opportunity to officially rest, which I'm looking forward to. We are taking the kiddos out to the mall, and unfortunately, they just got out of school a week ago, and they've been kind of trapped around the house just because, while I'm in the field, I haven't been able to take them very many places. Occasionally, a quick dinner here or there, but not going out and just spending time with them, And so, taking them to the mall, we're gonna make a day of it tomorrow, which will be nice. Then Monday, I gotta take the puppo to the vet for a follow-up, and then after that, we're going to put the car in the shop because our AC has gone out, and Texas is not the place to not have AC. I did get to do some pretty cool things in the field this past week. I got to see Niagara Falls, one of the great wonders of the world. That was pretty cool. I got to do some work in Portland, Oregon, which was nice. It's funny because, the news, social media kind of leads us to believe Portland is full of very confrontational people. But, man, everybody was super nice when I was in Portland. All right. That's 2 done. Nice and weathered. Arrest? What's that? Sounds like a fairy tale. Oh, I understand that, my friend. I understand that. Hellblade 2 looks so much like a movie, even in combat, so I did no face cam to keep it cinematic. Very cool. One of my cats is overdue for her yearly visit. I got to figure that out. Yeah, I have definitely been staying on top of the pups visits, especially so lately because, man, she was, shepherds can have a lot of issues with them as they age, and so, an elder shepherd can be a little less common than, older dogs of other breeds, just because, like I said, there's a variety of health problems they can have. And anyway, so she was kind of like, at first it was like, oh man, she's been a lot less active lately. Maybe her age is finally getting to her. But then she started to decline really rapidly, like scarily so. So, we went ahead and made like an emergency call, or appointment with the doctor. And it turns out she had a somewhat rare form of lupus. And anyways, it was attacking her own immune system, and in turn, like, her own immune system was like attacking her own bone marrow in some cases. Yeah, so it was terrible. And she, like I said, she was fading fast. She had lost like 40 pounds. Like, we knew it was serious, but when the vet was like, we're gonna get her some steroids to increase her appetite, because if she doesn't start eating enough to, get some of her body weight back soon, she could possibly die. And so, anyways, but thankfully she's been on her meds for, I don't know, a good 2 months now. And so this is just a follow-up. But that's funny is, not funny, but what's scary is that, for this particular form of lupus, they can't correctly diagnose without amputating body parts, which is scary. But they were like, that's expensive. It's, it's chopping off a part of your animal's body. And on top of that, we'd have to wait for results to come back. And then we'd still have to try and diagnose and see if that's right, for your pet. And I don't think if we don't get some weight on your dog soon, that she's going to live long enough for those results to come back. So I'd like to skip the cutting your dog's toe off and, move on to treatment if you don't mind. And we're like, please, by all means, save my puppo. And, yeah, thankfully, like I said, the doctor was real smart, got it figured out quickly, got her on a good treatment plan, and, she's looking so much healthier now. In fact, she's starting to look healthier than she was before she got sick, so. That was a real blessing. We were definitely afraid we were going to lose her. Big dog breed problems. Yeah, unfortunately. Brother Roxas has been through that recently. All we can do is try and do our best by them and love them while they're here. I think my cat's doing fall. I got to make a day for that. Absolutely. Poor puppy. That is a bizarre prerequisite for a proper diagnosis. I know, right? Are GW games the only minis that you're into? Now that it takes too much time with GW as it is. It is my primary game system and the majority of all of my game systems. But I am also into Star Wars Shatterpoint. If you'll just mind me knocking different paints over. Star Wars Shatterpoint. Bigger minis, kill team style game. You know, it's a skirmish style game. Beautiful minis. I have a box of Star Wars Legion over in this corner. You can kind of see the tip of the box. Brother Roxas and I are going to be getting into, which is Brother Geary in the chat there. We're going to be getting into BattleTech at some point. And I'm also into X-Wing with Brother Atlas. And then, of course, there's the generic use whatever minis you want, you know, Dungeons & Dragons that I'm into. Although, most of what I've done is either online or Theater of the Mind. I haven't had a chance to really be in a physical game. Now that I'm into miniatures, I haven't had a chance to actually get in a physical game where I can use the miniatures, which I would really love to because, you know, I love miniatures. I just got into miniatures a little over 10 years ago, around the time I was 30, and I'm currently 40, unless anyone asks. If anyone asks, it's much younger than that. So I've been in the miniatures for the past 10 years, but I've been into role-playing games for much, much longer. It's just always been Theater of the Mind before, but I would love to get into a physical game at some point where I can actually paint up minis and use it for the game that I'm playing, you know? At the very least, my hero. And I have painted D&D miniatures for a few of my other friends who also play D&D. So that way they could use in their games. Man, I would love to do the same for an in-game person myself. Been playing BattleTech for a long time. Haven't played any of the Star Wars games. Been playing mostly narrative mini games the last few years. Very cool. I enjoy the Star Wars. Well, I enjoy Shatterpoint and X-Wing. I haven't tried Legion yet, but wanted to get into it as part of, you know, I mean, the fact that I like all the other Star Wars games. So, and a lot of the guys at my friendly local gaming store are getting into it. So at some point when I take a break from all the Warhammer I'm painting, you know, it would be a good time to get into that while people nearby are also into the game. But knowing me, I will probably keep painting Warhammer for a while, and then when I finally get around to painting Legion, you know, the local guys at the store will probably be out of it. Not out of any fault of theirs, but just because that's kind of me. I get around to things in my own time, and usually that my own time is usually just after something is no longer popular. That's my way. I do the same thing with TV shows too. Everybody would be like talking about a show forever, and I'm like, I haven't seen it. I don't watch it, unfortunately. And then like finally, you know, years later, I'll get into it, and people won't even remember it anymore. They'll be like, "What? You're watching that now?" Yeah, you remember the part where so and so and so and so? Nah, I don't remember, man. That was years back. Nah. So I want to be excited about it, but then like, yeah, it's not popular anymore. I tend to think of myself as just in general like a couple of years too late to being cool. In fact, the fact that I tend to like things that are no longer popular, my daughter was just making fun of me for just today. She trimmed one side of her hair to leave some bangs just because she wanted to experiment with bangs. And she's like, "What do you think, Dad?" And I was like, "Hey, it looks great." Although I'm kind of biased. I've always liked hairstyles like that, that show a little hair over one eye or whatever. I've always thought that was a cool look. She says, "Oh, so you want me to have hair like early 2000s bands?" I'm like, hey. Making fun of me for being stuck in the past again. I'll check back in 5 years when you watch The Last of Us and Fallout thing. You're about right. My cat is 15 years old and at a healthy 9.5 pounds. Plenty of energy and playful, so vets are usually pretty surprised by her health. Nice. I got Mufasa in for a vet visit recently, and vet said he needed to go on a diet or he'll get diabetes, like me. Like actually me, like not. He's a chunk. Me too. That describes me too. Play everything after the fact. Yeah, exactly. I usually make all the terrain and learn the rules for everyone. By the time I get to the minis, everyone has played everything and is done. Ah, yeah. Friendly neighborhood inquisitor. Oh no, emo hair. Even before it was considered emo hair, like if you go back and look at some of the girls in like the early 90s, late 80s, some of the girls were already doing the hair over one eye thing. But not like in an emo way, just like in a fashionable kind of way. Speaking of TV shows, how excited are you for Night Springs DLC? You're my only Remedyverse friend. Your other friends aren't into the Remedyverse? Oh, that's a freaking crime. Alan Wake is so good. I'm super hyped for all the Remedy DLC, my brother. Night Springs. I often find, well, not often, but sometimes I find this bit of just wiping up all of the streaking grime kind of a tedious process. But, like, it's kind of just a chill thing to do while I'm sitting here chatting with you guys. This is kind of like chillax. Hey, at least you keep up with some games in real time thanks to me. Absolutely. Man, if I didn't have you doing the Let's Plays, oh man, there's so many stories I would never have gotten to and enjoyed. And one of my favorite stories you've ever shared with me, The Last of Us and Alan Wake, actually. So those are some of my favorite stories that I've come across in your Let's Plays, and I don't think those are ever games I would have played just on my own. So, yeah, it's absolutely thanks to you that I can enjoy these things, and now they're amongst some of my favorite stories. Alright, some of these areas need some reestablishing of the silver because they're kind of blending in with the gold a little too much, like the drums on these bolters. So, watching, videos on learning how to play Custodes, everybody says that the better weapon for Custodes is the spear. And I can see with, them having AP, well, the axes are just AP1, makes them more consistent. But I like the 3 damage, and overall, I just think they look cooler. And so even though they're considered the worst build, I built my Wardens and my Alaris Terminator. Well, I'm building my Terminators with the axes. And honestly, they surprisingly really showed up for me in this game I had with Brother Atlas. Like, the axes do a flat 3 when they go through. Now, of course, with just -1 AP, you're really kind of waiting on your opponent to roll low, sure. But man, like, in one round, they totally took down a Dreadnought in one round of combat. And I had softened it up with the Caladius Grav Tank at first, but they didn't even need it. They would have done enough damage to just bring it down by themselves. Like, yeah, it's now granted, of course, when people are talking about how useful something is, meta, non-meta, of course, you know, they're not talking about casual garage games like, you know, we're playing. They're talking about, you know, top tournament kind of stuff. But yeah, just for something that gets such a bad rap, I was really pleased that I took the axes really just because they look cool, and they did a good job. We're touching up the silver bits, silver bits, silver bits. We're touching up the silver bits. The fainting we will go. I think I successfully kept most of the grime out of the eye sockets for the lenses, which is good. They still look pretty bright and vibrant. And while I would love to move on to the next step after this cleanup, it really is best, now that we've cleaned the streaking grime, and I think, actually, because I let the streaking grime sit here a little longer, I don't even really feel like I need to do the black wash. I think they're good as they are. However, before I move on to the next layers of layering paint and stuff like that, I think we should actually let the streaking grime finish completely drying and curing. And so we'll probably call that there. I do have some beautiful works of art of the week submitted by some beautiful people. And so for anyone interested, we're going to do art of the week. We're going to look at some beautiful stuff that people have worked on. And yeah. But I'm feeling like these are getting pretty close to being done. I'm feeling pretty hyped. Like, if you look at their guardian brothers next to them, the only difference is you can see some of the highlights have been reintroduced on top of the grime, and of course they look dry and matte as opposed to wet and shiny. So we are going to go on to there we go, new art of the week. And now we're gonna articles and art. There we go. Beautiful. Hey, Ashley, Greg, good to see you, fam. Thank you so much for joining tonight. No need to apologize. I'm never ever worried about anyone being late. I stream at a really awkward time for a lot of people. So it's a miracle I have an audience at all. But I always appreciate when all of you join. So thank you so much for being here. So some art of the week. Ashley, I know you've been doing quite a bit of painting. If you have anything you'd like to show off, feel free to send it to me and I will be happy to put it up. I always enjoy sharing what my friends are doing. So here, Grumpy Guy Gaming he's absolutely one of the fastest painters. He and Elston Nation are like the two fastest painters I know. And they're always doing absolute top-notch quality work. And this is what's on Brother Grumpy Guy Gaming's desk right now. And I think he said he's working on making a YouTube comeback. He's, a lot of real-life things going on, a lot of work and stuff like that. An injury, all that good stuff. And so he's been away from the YouTube scene for a while. I'm sure he'll talk about it in his next update. But he's planning on making a YouTube comeback very soon. If you're not subscribed to Grumpy Guy Gaming, one of my favorite friends across the pond, and check out his channel there in the Friends of the Frosted Fist link down below. But check out what he's working on here. We've got a whole bunch of Custodes from one of the Ares airships. Some of the tanks down here. That is the Caladius Grav tank. I think these are the transports. I don't remember what the big one is. In fact, I really am not remembering the big one. Those are the 30K bikes. We have a massive Telemon Dreadnought here. Another of the 30K bikes. Perhaps this one is a captain of sorts. And as I was another Telemon Dreadnought here. And then a couple of the spear-armed Contemptor Dreadnoughts. The Achilles Dreadnought, which I was showing you guys earlier. And I need to fix up and repair of mine own. Really cool looking stuff here. Here, for his Iron Warriors, he's got some of the Battle Automa here for the Iron Warriors. And first of all, I just really love the glow effect here. But like, overall, I mean, oh, I'm sorry, I keep saying Iron Warriors. These are Iron Hands. You can see hand. 1, 2, and machine number 1, 2, and 3 here, but very super cool. I always love how these more machine-like aspects of the Space Marines are able to incorporate the Autonoma into their armies, which is just super cool. Here they are individually, starting with Autonoma number 1. So cool looking. Really makes that black and steel armor really work. And then the red cables just pop nicely. Really great weathering too. You know, they look like, functional steel. They don't look like, pretty polished work. Number 2. Love how he's got the different head swaps and head poses here. And like I said, I love the glow. When you do a very functional, Iron Warriors are known for not being super flashy. They're very just functional. Here, black steel, which in most cases, I think the black is just a primer black too. Not like Grumpy here painted primer, but in the lore, I think they're just bare steel color, and in some cases black primer, and that's it. And they're just all about function. They don't care about color. They don't care about design. They're just whatever works. I love that. That's offset again nicely by things like the red cables, the red glow. Very cool stuff. And then Autonoma number 3. Really cool. I love the weather on these. They look so good. Also from Grumpy Guy Gaming, a battle tank here. I forget what game system he said it was for, but obviously we're here for some more historical type work here with this particular tank. Very, very cool. Shot of the Autonoma together. Now, sometimes if I don't exit, it'll start looping it on itself. Grumpy also painted a dwarf as a bit of a, you know, to paint something different. And this just looks awesome. I'm not sure. Anytime I think he's done non-metallic metal, he's like, oh no, that's just metallic. But again, this looks very non-metallic metal here. It looks great. Great detail on the face. He'll probably just tell me that was contrast. But look at that. I mean, the dwarf has like perfectly painted eyes and mascara. Or not eyes, mascara, eyeliner. Like the hair looks great. The armor looks great. The beard looks immaculate. A glorious beard. Beautiful work, my brother. I've sent what I've done via Messenger. Thank you so much. Ooh, very 30K AdMech looking. Yes, I believe all the Autonoma share like similar chassis and body types with the 30K AdMech. We love watching. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I haven't been able to print this last month. Oh no. I asked you in Discord, but was I supposed to send you stuff? Oh, I just pulled from what you posted in Discord. Sorry for not seeing your question earlier. More stuff from Grumpy Guy Gaming. So while he's been quiet on the YouTube front, he's really been hustling on the painting front. 30K World Eaters. And this is the 30K Forge World Contemptor Dreadnought, which he has green stuffed in and added the entrails for this Dead Space Marine here. And of course, in true blood World Eaters fashion, got the blood sprays all over. I feel like some people who do World Eaters go very heavy on just the gore, but I love that this is just like splatter. It's not just drenched on. You know, it's, I don't know, something that makes it look very cool. Plus, you can still see that very cool blue and white color scheme underneath it. And then back to the Iron Hands, the Sons of Medusa. We've got a Leviathan Dreadnought here geared out for close combat. We've got the Siege Claw and the Siege Drill here. Surprisingly, no Hunter-Killer missiles up top. And then we've got double flamers in the chest. Very cool. I love Leviathan Dreadnoughts. They're just so beefy and chunky. They're thick boys with 2 C's and an OI. A project of his entire Word Bearers army, all finished. Grumpy has been very generous in sending in pics. It always has been. And so we've got quite a few here. And look at this massive army of 30K World Eaters. Love it. I also especially love that because there's so much blank space on a Leviathan chest plate. I love that he's used that to incorporate the word of the Word Bearers here. So cool. The transfers look great. Contemptors always look amazing. The Ashen Circle. Special unit for the 30K Word Bearers. They come with purifying flame pistols. Flame? I thought it was flame, but some of these look like Delta. Anyways, purifying fire pistols, and of course their jump packs. The Ashen Circle are a very cool unit. They're basically specialized assault marines and jump packs. Such cool looking work. Okay, they are flavors. I must have just been looking at it from an odd angle. Oh no, there's a melta in here. A sneaky melta. Such a cool unit. Really great work, Grumpy. We've got I think it's a librarian / sorcerer. I think for Chaos they're called sorcerers. Love the green warp flame. There's the Leviathan I was talking about with all of the holy script. Or I guess unholy. Gosh. He's done such a phenomenal job. I love like this kind of like blue-green warped flame here. Really great job with that. And then their Primarch. Lorga. Bearer of the Word. Here we have an entry from Wolfenstone, which he had posted in Discord, so hopefully Wolfenstone is okay with me sharing his work here, but such amazing work. He had taken almost 2 years off, and look at the gradients on the red here. Look at the skin. It's so good. There's so much skin, and he managed to make all of it just look good. And again, the gradients on the red is still my favorite thing. It's so clean. Popping back over. Some wonderful Bloody Heresy. Love the 30k World Eater scheme. Absolutely. That army looks familiar. I think I might have seen it before. Wolfenstone is a cool name. It really is. He's a pretty cool guy too. So there's a close-up of the main pick. Love the little glow here. That gradient even looks better up close. Cool stuff. And at first I didn't even notice the mohawk because I was like just drooling over the armor work. Notice they sculpted in the wedgie. I just want everybody to notice that. GW wanting to be as authentic as possible, sculpted in the wedgie. And some great details here, like the glowing aspects of like his backpack here. Look at that. You can even see a little bit of glow where he dotted the eye. It's really great stuff. Better angles on the pistol and the axe. Really awesome work. We've got something here from our friendly neighborhood Inquisitor, who looks like Kurt Russell. I think this is such a cool model. I can't even remind me again what this model's from. It looks really good though. And you know, I don't know if what I noticed first. I noticed you commenting that it looked like Kurt Russell, and then I can see it that after hearing it, or if I saw this first and thought it looked like Kurt Russell and then saw your comment. Like I don't know what came first, but you've referenced it here, and I can absolutely see it. And really nice work, man. Another project from our friendly neighborhood Inquisitor. Made a small, by the way, if you want to see what our friendly neighborhood Inquisitor is working on, you can join the Discord. Hit me up if you're interested in that link, and I will share the link to join. But also, you may or may not know, he's got his own YouTube channel. Check him out in the down below in our link tree, the Friends of the Frosted Fists. And yeah, find his channel. And he does a weekly update every week, with the exception of last week. And yeah, you can see what he's getting up to, what he's painting, what he's finished, all that good stuff. And he's even occasionally got some extra goodies, like a recent Slaneshi themed basing tutorial. So, love the Terminator here. And the silver skull helm looks perfect on this Terminator chaplain. Just really great work on that. I know most people do the bone, and I think I just saw your explanation. He's the Reclusiarch. He has a silver death mask rather than the bone colored one. It looks great on him. It absolutely fits in with the black armor, and you know, the teal colored shoulder pad. Looks great. And then we've got the bone color on the bones on the shield. Really nice work, man. I definitely want to get one of these Terminators at some point. Behold, he is done. Really great work with the Beholder. I love that you even free-handed in the eyeball and the vision, you know, the pupil, the slit pupil here. Really great work. Great work on the gums too. The gums actually look really good. Mouth, gums, the whole thing looks great. I mean, maybe a little too great because I've got like an ocular phobia. It kind of creeps me out a little bit, but really good work. Looking again. I could never get the hang of wet blending. Just wash and highlight is about my level. A friend of mine had a gunslinger character in D&D, and he got Hero Forge. I painted a few Hero Forge models for Atlas, actually. Very cool stuff. Don't feel bad, Telemachus. Neither can I. Very cool. All right. Actually, that should come back up. Here we've got Gina Doherty. Life-size bust finish. This is so cool. One of my favorite killers, especially when I'm playing like Dead by Daylight. But from the movie Hellraiser, we have everyone's favorite Xenobite. We've got Pinhead. So freaking cool. And like I said, it's freaking life-size. I think she said it's fiberglass. Like, those nails look absolutely real. Like, I don't feel like those are painted at all. And I love the shading around the eyes. You know, how each of the scars is painted in. It's just really, really nice work. So, brilliant, absolutely brilliant work, Gina. You got that CMY kind of scheme going on with them now. Fine magenta yellow. Another angle. Absolutely brilliant blending. And I think, does that bring us to the end? That brings us to the end of what I have here, but we have another entry. Boom! Oh, we've got some. What's that Marvel Chibi's game called? It's a Marvel. Oh. Yeah, she said it's fiberglass. Insane work. Absolutely insane work. Really great detail. Now it's going to bother me. Not that it's important. Marvel Universe. Okay. Very cool. Got some Iron Man, Red Skull. We've got Ultron here, Black Widow, Ant-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Wasp. I think. Here we go. Iron Man, Red Skull, and Ultron. Really great work on these, actually. They look fantastic. You know, I gotta say, when they did the Kickstarter for this, I was not interested at all. I was like, especially because, like, I dabble here and there collecting Crisis Protocol. And I haven't painted any of them yet, but the intention is there. And Crisis Protocol has some brilliant sculpts. And I'm like, man, compared to the heroic models of Crisis Protocol, the chibi style ones, you know, they just look so hard to take seriously. But that was just from the Kickstarter. But after seeing some people do some really, you know, knockout paint jobs, like yourself here, and some other great painters who have done some painting on them, I'm like, okay, actually, some good painters can really make these chibi models look great. Look, I love all the detail on, like, Red Skull here especially. Got Hulk here, Ant-Man, Black Widow. Really cool work. Very nice job on the skin tone too. It reminds me, there's a Marvel hero shooter coming out. It's called Marvel Rivals. Yeah, that sounds something like I would want to play. I'm gonna have to check that out. Mini Wardens sent us the game. We want to get them painted before we play the game. Very nice. Well, you're doing a fantastic job, my friend. Better close up here. Captain America looking good. I even went in and painted the eyeballs. Very nice. Great work, Ashley. And then Captain Marvel. I love the, you know, the swoosh there that she's flying on, connected to the base. And then we've got the Wasp here. Really great work. Did I miss any? Oh, one more. Is this Taskmaster? I'm not super familiar with this one. I think that's Taskmaster. Well, they look great, actually. You've done a great job. And the fact that you painted eyes in them, I mean, that's so impressive. Still working on them. Great work. All right, we're going to pop back over. And we're going to blink out the camera for just a second. Is that perfect? I've done that without. There we go. Solo chat. And then now we're going to blink out the camera for just a moment. There we go. All right, how is this angle? Too high. There we go. All right, and that brings us right to 11 o'clock, the end of our show. And I think I'm caught up with the chat. Yep, absolutely. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I feel like I got a ton of work done on the Custodes tonight, and they're a good step closer. And I think tomorrow I can actually go in with the airbrush and do those power weapon effects too. And of course, they'll probably need to do some highlights on top of all the washing we've done. But yeah, so if you're wondering what's what with this super high angle here, it's just because I didn't want to go through of taking the camera down from my tripod here, putting it back over on the monitor. And so it just seemed a little easy just to pick it up and set it up here. So also, when I look up, my double chin doesn't show so much. So, you know, added benefit. But I appreciate you guys helping me get a bunch of stuff done with the Custodes. And to be honest with you, after, like I said, almost working 2 weeks straight, I am so stoked to actually have been able to sit and spend time with you guys tonight, chatting with people about my favorite hobby, chatting with some of my friends who are often in the chat. And yeah, just hanging out with you guys, doing one of my favorite things in the world to do, which is painting miniatures. So it has been a long work streak, but finally getting some relaxing on and getting to do what I enjoy doing, which is hanging out with you guys, painting some minis. So check out the chat again later. Thanks for the shout out, my pleasure. Yeah, hope to see you soon on your channel. Have a great night, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below. If you're watching from the archives, feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to any of my friends down in the Friends of the Frostifist link tree down below, check out their channel. Give them a subscription if you can. Absolutely free and a great way to support heroes of the hobby. And of course, if you're not subscribed to this guy, then I'd love to have you as part of the pack, part of the hobby family here on the Frost and Fist. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.